meditation?
We're going to be doing bits and pieces throughout the workshop. So we'll do like three short, specific state trainings. Oh, Daniel Michaelson, welcome. Daniel's son,
Yeah.
brother. What's up, my man? Great to see you, sir. Are you
Good
wearing your
to
car?
see you.
Are you
All
wearing
the
your car
oldies but
today, sir?
goodies.
Say again?
Are you wearing your car today?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm gonna be working, but I thought I
Yes,
listen
bro.
in a little bit.
Good man. Good man. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited for the instruction moving forward.
Nice.
All right, well, we might as well get into it, team. So, welcome to our Power Without Force workshop based around consciousness. Now, the first introduction I had personally to consciousness when I was 17. The Matrix had just come out, and I was talking about the Matrix with one of my close friends, and he was studying with these spiritual teachers in the Gurdjieff work in the fourth way. I don't know if any of you've heard of it. And they explained in those teaching that you had different levels of consciousness. And that was the first time I kind of heard about these things. There was subconscious, conscious, self-conscious, self-superconscious. And I was like, what the fuck? This is okay. And apparently all humans have different levels of consciousness. And I didn't really understand that very well. And I wanted to understand it because it sounded cool. Because like from the Matrix, they're like, you're asleep, subconscious. And then when you come out of the Matrix, you're awake, self-conscious to self-superconscious, or even just starting to be conscious within the actual sleep world. So that really fascinated me. And my first direct experience with consciousness, my own personal experience, was when I was practicing an actual meditation from the Gurdjieff work, where you have to look about 3 meters ahead, say a prayer, concentrate on your breath, sense your feet. So there's a few bits and pieces. It was a walking meditation, and I'd done it for about 3 days. And on the I think it was the third or fourth day, I had a huge shift in my consciousness. Um, I was literally just taking one step. It was nothing profound. It was just walking around the block, but the experience was profound. As I started to take one step, my own consciousness opened. I expanded into the whole scene around me. The one step felt like an eternity. I could hear and feel sound. I felt like I was everything. It was the first time I had experienced a expanded state of consciousness without any, drugs. So so I hadn't smoked weed, I hadn't snorted any cocaine, I hadn't popped any pills. So uh, it was quite a profound experience for me, which led me to a true belief that yes, there are these different levels of consciousness, and took me on that journey towards understanding oneness, which is why I promote One Tao, because it's that state of oneness with life, with spirit, with God, however you want to present it. Now, that was my first kind of entry point into consciousness. But what I wanted to further down the track, I found out about this, which you're all quite aware of, the map of consciousness. So it's here as well. And this is such a useful tool, and that's going to be kind of what we're working with today. Now, how can we do this? We'll put it up here. So just, because there'll be some newer guys in the queue. I know some of you guys have already seen this and have an understanding for it, but I'll go over the basic understanding of what the map of consciousness is, the different levels, and then I'm going to go into the three different components which help you to level up your internal power. So first, the map. Second, we're going to look at intention. Third, surrender. And fourth, responsibility, and how these all link together for you to maximize your internal power and release blockages. So starting out, you've got this map, right? Now, you've got the critical line of integrity here. So you got it's a bit far away, but yeah, just simply put, shame, guilt, apathy, pride, fear, all the negative stuff, and then all the positive stuff, courage, love, joy, above this line. Let's put it up here so we can use it as a reference point. Now, on this map, you have the fields of power. Yeah, so the power of the upward, positive fields, and then you've got force, the lower fields, right down here. The force fields are weaker: anger, fear, doubt, blame, complaint, so on and so forth, resentment, blame. And then the power fields are stronger. They have an upward field. Now, essentially, up here, you have emotions like love. It's a positive feeling, and you have greater degrees of happiness. And down here, you have shitter feelings. Does that look like a shit to you? You have the more negative feelings, and you have a greater degree of depression and sadness. So it's pretty simple and obvious, and you can think about it from your own experience, okay? Have I felt depressed? Have I felt positive? How did I feel in that? Where did I have more power? And you can also think of people you know, like think of those people who are really positive and uplifting, and you can also think of those who are negative and downward, and you can start to kind of appreciate what's going on. Now, this was designed by Dr. David Hawkins. He found out about the map of consciousness. He was obviously into spiritual work, and long story short, he was at a kinesiology lecture. Kinesiology is where they work with the energy in the human system, and they were testing it on, they thought it was the localized phenomenon where, for example, you put like sweetener or something on your solar plexus, and then they'll test the strength of your body. And if your body goes weak, it has a downward quality, a forceful quality. If your body stayed strong, it had an upward quality, a powerful quality. As Dr. Hawkins was watching and observing this, he realized that it wasn't a local phenomenon to the body, it was a global phenomena of consciousness. He realized that consciousness was communicating through our energetic system. And that's how he mapped out the levels of consciousness, which is what we're going to be going into today. So he mapped it out from the lower, shame at 20, up to enlightenment at 1,000. Sorry, in the fields of enlightenment from 600 up to 1,000. Now, we have the Buddha and the Christ and the enlightened ones up here at the 1,000. And then, we've all felt shame and guilt and know what it's like down there. So our objective as internal martial artists and just as humans as well is to raise our level of consciousness. This will make your life better in all areas because you change as you approach everything. But further, those around you will feel that influence as well. I remember one specific case of a guy who was always complaining when he started training, always complaining about people at work, complaining about his wife, complaining about everything. And I had to, explain how this works and how he needed to get up above this line of integrity so that he could actually start to manifest his internal power. And once he actually took responsibility and started to step into the fields of power, he was like, my wife has sex with me now. My daughter wants to sit on my lap. I'm having great fun at work. His whole life shifted. It was the exact same life, but he changed himself. He changed himself. He raised his level. And that's the game here. Just like in the Matrix, you want to wake up from the sleep and become conscious, self-conscious, self-superconscious. So you want to raise your level. Now, so obviously we've got the kind of subconscious levels here. So this would be the subconscious, meaning, and we've probably all had that experience where you may having an argument or a disagreement with someone, and their frequency is so low that even if you repeat something back to them, they won't even remember. So they might say something directly to you like, oh, but I don't want to do that. And then you'll say to them, okay, so you said you don't want to do that. No, I didn't, because it's like they're asleep. It's literally like they're asleep. So you may have had that experience. But as you come up above this line, we're looking at the levels of consciousness moving upward. So subconscious, up to conscious, up to self-conscious, up to self-super-conscious. So you want to expand your consciousness, let's say. Good. All righty. So that's the map and the framework. If you want to go deeper into this, you should have, or a lot of you guys have probably already read Letting Go and Power versus Force. They give you a really good understanding of the map of consciousness and how it's in everything. Literally everything you see, touch, taste, hear has a frequency and a level of consciousness. So this is quite a transformative tool for your life. Now, let's take a look at the three different components which allow you to do so, allow you to raise. What color should we use? You guys hearing me good? Can I have a thumbs up if we're, yeah? All right, cool, sweet. Okie dokie. So there are three components, as we mentioned earlier, three components to which we work on in order to maximize internal power, aka raise our level of consciousness. Don't know if you can see that. So there we go. And these three pieces work together in order to do so. We have at the base of the pyramid, you can call it a triangle, you have presence. Presence. Not, I was about to write present, like not presence from center, but presence, being present. I'll go into that in a moment. At the top of the pyramid, we have intention. Intention. So presence, intention, and then on these sides, this is, I was been working with some other coaches at the moment. They're talking about it's good to use triangles to teach and use the different sides. But I was like, no, this actually works better, more like a pyramid, because it really works in this way, and that this is pointing up to the direction of intention. The foundation is presence and responsibility, which I'll get into. And the part which cascades down is surrender. So this way here, coming down the sides, is surrender and letting go. The baseline is presence. What we release is the surrender, and the intention is the direction. And we'll go deeper into this today, and we'll also do some practical exercises so you can actually get a feeling for it and start to deepen your understanding throughout this month and so on and so forth. So let's begin. Where should we begin? Let's start with the end in mind. How's that sound? Yeah? Okay. Fun. So intention. Now, how can I highlight this? Intention sets direction, and I'll tell you a little story. Okay, yeah, I've told very few people this. So like, long story short, my dad was a bit of a fuck, and he had a secret family, so kind of, and which threw me off. I went a bit wild as a kid. I ended up getting deep into drugs and crime because it was a way of me releasing internal frustrations, resentment, guilt, all the negative fun stuff, right? Anyway, so I actually went down a very bad path, and I was selling drugs and robbing houses and doing a lot of stuff that I shouldn't do. And I probably shouldn't say here hope I won't make this public. Anyway, and my intention was not so good. My intention was like, and I even said to myself, you know what? I might as well become the crime boss of my area. This is literally what I was thinking. So my intention was pretty much pure, I'd say, yeah, evil, like stupid. Anyway, long story short, that intention led to me bending the field, meaning I met crime bosses of the area. They literally gave me the opportunity to have all the drugs and stolen goods that I could handle. And long story short, I started to see the demonic in it, and I actually felt possessed. So I didn't feel myself. I felt ill and taken over by negative forces. I'm cutting a long story into short pieces. I started praying with my mother because I just didn't feel myself. I pulled myself out of that state, and I cut off these criminals. I saw them again the next week after deciding to cut them off, and they came up to me in a nightclub and they gave me a bag of drugs and like, here you go. And I just threw it at them, and I was like, I said, fuck off. I want nothing to do with you. And thank God I had a mother who directed me spiritually, and I didn't go down that path. So why do I share that with you? Because intention is power. Whatever you set as your intention, whether it's subconscious or conscious, whether you're going to the lower fields or upper fields, you will influence your life, the people, and the field around you. Intention is your intent, as in mind, links to the field. The map of consciousness is also called the field of intent. So whatever your intention might be pulls you into it. So on a more positive note, further in my life, I had my intention to become unconditionally loving, like the Christ. Because, I felt, it feels much better and it feels truer to my heart and my soul. And in doing so, I ended up moving to Cyprus and studying with the Research of Truth and learning how to be loving, how to heal, how to be whole. So intention is power. Now, how does that relate to us? So what we want to do is start by firstly setting our spiritual intent. Now, that can be anything. The intention essentially leads up towards enlightenment, right? Enlightenment, right? To the highest, right? Enlightenment. And that's really a sense of freedom. Freedom, peace, love, these tend to be the feelings that most people that I work with, like I've been running, Kung Fu schools for my first master and for myself for the last 25 years. And people that I run into always are looking for some type of upward feeling quality, whether that's confidence, courage, and usually it leans up towards love, connection, and freedom, right? And that's not to say that that's the same for everyone, but it tends to be quite common, right? A sense of freedom via directing our intent. So essentially, we set our spiritual intention, and 99.9% of people set it above the line of integrity. I very rarely meet people who want to go downward, and if they do, it's usually subconscious or unconscious, like it's a programmed behavior which someone doesn't really want. So the first kind of exercise that I'll give to you guys is to set your spiritual intent. You've got, for those of you, and it doesn't have to be any of these words in particular. It could be anything because every emotion links somewhere on this field. So, we've got courage, neutrality, like willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace, enlightenment has different levels of consciousness or different directions for your intent, which is essentially what this does. The intention sets the direction. It's like you're saying, oh, I'd like to go to America. That's a direction, right? So the intention is the direction. And it doesn't mean you have to be upset because you're not there yet. It's just setting where you're going vibrationally within your consciousness. So for the next 60 seconds, let's say, take a moment to just ponder on, okay, what's your spiritual intention? And don't worry, you can change it and evolve it day to day. But for now, take a moment. I'll count in my head 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, just to ponder on what you would like your spiritual intention to be. 18 Mississippi, 19 Mississippi. Like I'm playing hide and seek with my kids. Funnily, they're very much tied to my spiritual intention.
It's kind of interesting that you say Mississippi
Why is that?
because you're Australian.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's what even in Australia, we do that. Oh, I mean, well, as you guys know, my intention is to live in America, so maybe that's it.
Why?
All right, good. We'll call that 60 Mississippi. Mandy, great to see you. So now let's actually, look, there's a lot of different tools we use, but we're going to get into the feeling of our intention and bring it into our center. We're not going to go too deep into centering. There's a lot of pieces to the state, but it's all one state, as you all know. But let's do an exercise now. So get yourself comfortable. You can either do it seated, standing, lying down, doesn't really matter. It's up to you. And just start by taking some deep breaths. Calm, deep, peaceful breaths. Bring a sense of ease. Calm down the mind and relax your body. Now, as you breathe deeply, I want you to imagine a field, like a infinite field of radio stations, different frequencies. We can all understand the radio and how there are different channels or stations and how you can attune to different stations. And as you just sit and contemplate on this field of frequencies, just observe and start to enter into your non-physical nature. So yes, you have a physical body, but you also have mind, emotion, energy, spirit. So just calm, gentle breaths and use the breath to attune with the non-physical. Now, as you continue to breathe deeply, bring your spiritual intention into focus. Love, freedom, joy, enlightenment, prosperity, creativity, courage, reason, whatever it might be. Just rest your focus on your spiritual intent. Calm, gentle breaths as you attune with the spirit. Feel it. Allow yourself to enter into this frequency. Now, if you want to, you can bring an image of a person, place, event, or experience into your mind's eye, something which helps you to feel the emotion, the energy of your intention. Calm, gentle breaths with the sense of ease as you allow yourself to enter into this frequency. Feel it. Become it. Breathe it into every cell, every atom. And as you rest now in this feeling quality, expand into the field of intention. Like you're floating on an ocean of intention. Observe all the thoughts, feelings, ideas, images that arise as you rest in this frequency. Remember this state. Anchor it into your center, where your spine is. And whenever you focus on your center, automatically this frequency activates in your system. is what we call infusion of the spirit, infusion of your intention into your center. Feel it. Breathe it into your center, into your space. Once again, taking some deep, calm breaths. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Very good. Alrighty, so intention. Very good, very good. Now, just before we share our observations with each other, I just want to highlight one important point on intent. So you think of the field, the levels of consciousness as an infinite field of energy which overlaps in and of itself, meaning I can be standing here in a state of anger, but I can be standing here in a state of love. I can be standing here in a state of courage in the same spot. So it's not like I have to go somewhere to be angry or go somewhere to be loving. It's a field of different frequencies that overlap each other. You know, like we have a physical, energetic, emotional, mental, and spiritual body all in the same space, overlapping. So you want to think of it like different radio waves. It's different radio waves, different music, all vibrating out like a field. And you, as human person, attune yourself to that field, via the intention. So your intention leads to all the thoughts, emotions, and actions that arise from and through you. So we are expressions of this consciousness. You know, the ego will tell us that we are, you know, the masters of everything and we're doing it and we're controlling it. But really, it's consciousness coming through us. So the consciousness comes through. And the reason we use, I mean, we'll go deep into that in later lessons, but the reason we use our center as the kind of prime focal point or trigger is because we have the energetic centers here, mental, emotional, and physical, which allows the consciousness to flow through us so we can express it. If you are in a loving state of consciousness, loving thoughts, loving actions come. Make sense? Good. So that's the last part of intent that I wanted you to kind of grasp and get a hold on, that it's very much like an infinite field of radio stations, which we're tuning ourselves to by intent, by like our direction, our intent, the direction we're going with things. It looked like a tinfoil hat, didn't it? Yes. Anyway, so let's share some observations with each other on what we experienced with that, because that helps deepen our experience. Tej, did you want your own room because you're with Mahael? Or yeah, you guys stay together? Cool, cool. Alrighty, let's share observations for a couple minutes, and then we'll come back to the next piece of our workshop. Alrighty. Great. 1 second. Setting this up. Cool. Sorry. Uno momento, per favore. What the fuck up? What's going on here? Ah, there we go. Ha, I'm a genius.
You knew that.
Alrighty. Jump into your room, share your observations, and we shall come back for more. Backingtons. Gonna take my shirt off and see how I look. Do I look better? Arun, I'm loving the room, mate. That's some sort of lighting.
Dang!
Some weed behind that or something. Welcome back, all. Welcome back. Welcome back. All righty. I clicked pin. Does that pin it for everyone? So my mate's screen's the main screen? Yeah? Cool. Alrighty. So intention. Wonderful. We went into that. Thank you for sharing observations. Let me just if you do have any questions, I'm going to do questions at the end and discussion. But if you want to write down your questions, put them in the chat and we can come back to them because you might forget. That's fine. Alrighty. So we have intention, surrender, presence. ISP. ISP. It's better than PIS, I suppose, right? ISP. It's a better way of saying it. So anyway, moving forward, let's take a look at the next piece. Let's go to presence because that's an important one, which is often forgotten. So at the bottom of the triangle, we have presence, and it's there for a reason. It's at the bottom of the base for a reason, because if you are not present, you are unable to catch that which needs to be released, meaning you're not conscious of what's happening in the moment. And this is coupled with there's for those of you who know the map, there's a line of integrity, it's called. It's a line of responsibility, so to speak. So the line of integrity is such a key, and can you even see that? No, not really. It's such a key and important detail in integrity. And this means you're stepping into another way this is described, this map of consciousness, is truth versus falsehood. One is true and makes you powerful, one is false and makes you weak. And you'll know that by your own fruit, by your own vibration. Now, integrity is a key detail which requires presence, which leads to, or which is coupled with, might be a better way of saying it, responsibility. Responsibility. Am I spelling that right? Anyway, whatever. Responsibility. Now, what do I mean by that? Taking responsibility for your mental, emotional, energetic, physical, and life conditions. This is like the key fundamental baseline for not just internal power, but for power in life. Because you'll see it, and we've all done it, where we blame other things, other people, we complain, and we give the responsibility to things outside of ourselves. Now, in doing this, you automatically reduce your power and move yourself below the line of integrity. You come into a place of force, weakness. And the thing is that this can be very subtle. You can be very unaware. So I'll tell you my own experience, which just happened last year, actually. So coming to more the end of the story, so to speak, meaning recent. For some reason, I started to fast. I had no directions or ideas. I just really wanted to fast, right? So I just started fasting, right? And it felt great. I felt very clear and spiritually aware. And in that, I started to become very conscious of the subtle energies in my system. And I started to notice energies in myself and from others in a much deeper way. And someone who I was working closely with, he was actually subtly trying to steal One Tao. He wrote it into an agreement where he would have authority of One Tao. And I wouldn't have seen it if I hadn't looked at the fine print. And I started to feel subtle energies in myself and in others. And then, long story short, I was also allowing other people in my circle who had betrayed me, who had actually literally betrayed me. And I didn't realize I was still subconsciously blaming the betrayers. Yeah. Remember my dad had a secret family, so I had that betrayal energy. I was subconsciously holding on to a betrayal energy in myself. When I realized that that vibration was still in me and took responsibility for it, and I wasn't like, oh, it's their fault. They cheated on me. They stole from me. They lied about me. I stopped blaming them subconsciously. They all dropped off. There was like three of them like flies, like poof, 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 just disappeared out of my life. And I was like, holy fuck stickers. It was crazy because I thought it was the outside, the people that were, in my life doing this to me, but it was me. I had the vibration inside myself. As I released it, I literally felt like an empty space inside my solar plexus and belly, my energetic center here, where I'd been holding on to that subconsciously. Like, we pick up programs from, being brought up as a human, parents, religion, family, school, whatever. And a lot of it's subconscious, like we're speaking about. So when I took personal responsibility and was present enough to witness the vibration within me, I was able to release it and move forward. And this was, sure, I already knew this shit. It's not like it was new topics to me. It's that I actually was applying it at a deeper level. So I'd already applied the surrender technique to many things and been aware of things to let go of. But this was a very something that was kind of hidden in the darkness in a corner in a cupboard somewhere, but still affecting my life in a not so positive way. So we want to take responsibility for everything in our life. It's like complete radical responsibility, and that puts you at the baseline of integrity, which is the fundamental foundation for power. In order to manifest power, both martially, spiritually, and in your physically in life, one must have a baseline of integrity. Otherwise, you're just using force to push on things, which can still achieve outcomes, but it's just not a pleasant way of being, and it's definitely not internal power. I've never met any Kung Fu masters who can manifest internal power from force. They actually get weaker. Anyway, so the first thing we want to kind of have in our mind is that I am responsible for my whole life, physically, energetically, emotionally, mentally, financially, relationally. The whole picture of your life right now is because of you. It's got nothing to do with anyone else. You are the authority, or you are the sovereign in your life. And that's the foundation. And yes, shit happens, but how you relate to it and how you deal with it is you. It's not to say, if someone randomly comes up and punches you in the side of the head, that, they have no responsibility in the issue. But, you want to be taking responsibility so that you can level up your power. Should I have been in that spot? Maybe I shouldn't have given them a dirty look, whatever it might be. So responsibility is linked to presence. And we say presence, as in being here present. And inside the word presence, you have sense, or as the green people. Oh, you can see it. Sense. So responsibility, integrity, presence is the key here, meaning training yourself to be present through sensing. That's the gateway that's shown truth to me, and it's the access, it's the doorway. If you're sensing yourself here right now, which I'm sure all of you have a bit more focus on right now because we're talking about it, you have the capacity to be aware of and understand what's happening within you mentally, emotionally, energetically, physically, spiritually through presence. And the simplicity of it, I know this may seem a little complicated, is to just sense yourself. You have sensation and you have sense. We've spoken about this in previous lessons. You have sensation and you have sense. Sense is just being conscious of yourself in space. And as you sense yourself in space, you take responsibility for the condition you're in and the vibrations within you. By me being able to observe the subtle interference in my subconscious through a sense of blame on others for a betrayal, by being able to sense that, I was able to release it. Taking responsibility took the power out of my projected perception, meaning I had projected onto other people the reason that I felt a betrayal or a negativity. Once I took that back through sensing and responsibility and integrity, I was able to be aware of it and release it. But as long as I keep thinking that motherfucker did that to me, I would never be able to release it. And that'd still be in my life and I'd still be dealing with fuckheads. So this is, I mean, for me, it's been such a powerful tool in my own growth as a person. And it's been, incremental throughout my life. And that's why I'm so happy to share it with you guys. It's so powerful. So the line of integrity, which is in between force and power, which is courage, because it takes courage to take full responsibility for your life. It's much easier to blame someone else. It's Steve's fault. It's much easier to point fingers, right? My teachers in Cyprus, and maybe it's just a Greek thing, I don't know. They'll say, when you point at someone, one finger points at them, but three point back at you, right? So you got to remember that it's you, right? So what we'll do now is we're going to do an exercise on responsibility, on integrity, on presence to sense oneself present, and to take responsibility through courage and integrity of the way your life is in all areas, right? But what we'll do is, why don't we take a moment in your head, you don't have to share this, in your head, just pick an area where you feel there is a sense of potential blame, complaint, anger, fear, doubt, or whatever it might be, and really try to just bring it to your mind and shine some light on it. What is that area of my life where I'm, blaming or lacking, or something you want to improve perhaps? And there's some vibrational discrepancy, something which doesn't feel right within you, whatever it might be. Perhaps it's a relationship with someone which we've projected blame onto them, or perhaps it's an area of your life you're looking to develop, and you feel that you don't have the power there because it's the weather's fault, or I don't know, uh, what do they call that? It's the chemtrails' fault. Whatever thing you feel you might be projecting your power outside of you, hence leading you into force, just bring that to your mind. We'll give you 30 seconds. One Mississippi. Just bring it into your awareness. And don't worry, you're not going to get stuck in that feeling. It's like a radio station, we'll be able to transcend. Good. All right. Well, 30 Mississippi. All right, so let's do an exercise now. So get yourself comfortable again. Seated, lying down, stance, whatever pleases you. Just get yourself comfortable and take some deep breaths. Calm, peaceful breaths. Sense yourself in space. Sense your feet, your legs, your belly, your chest, your back. Sense your shoulders, your arms, your forearms, your hands. Sense your neck and your head. Sense the entire space. As you sense your space, keep in mind, this isn't necessarily easy, but that's why it takes courage. It takes courage to face that which is within you and own it. Now, as you sense your space, this gives you the doorway to experience the energy of whatever we might be connected to in the lower fields, whatever we might be projecting onto others, any blame or complaint or resentment. And bring that area, that part of our life to mind, whether it's a person, an experience, or something you're looking to develop, and just bring it into your awareness, and with a subtle sense of observation, no fear, no resistance, just observe its frequency within you. So be present to the frequency of whatever that may be. Allow it to be there through sensing. And now mentally take responsibility for both the frequency within you, most importantly, and that area of your life externally. The internal reflects to the external, meaning your internal vibration is like a layer of perception or connection to that area of your life. Take full responsibility. I am responsible for this within me. I am present. Attune with this level of courage and integrity as you sit with this frequency. Now, as you sit with this energy within you, start to bring yourself into a sense of neutrality, like it is what it is, like a observation without judgment. Calm, gentle breaths as you allow that to be there. And now move yourself into a frequency of acceptance. Accept that things are as they are. The process here is transcendence, like you're elevating beyond, ending the trance of the lower fields. I am responsible for my life in all areas. My health, my emotions, my mind, my friendships, my relationships. I'm responsible. Take some deep breaths and breathe in a sense of courage, acceptance, forgiveness into yourself. Forgive yourself for allowing this to be within you. Once again, take some deep breaths. Center yourself now in your intention. Bring yourself back into that elevated frequency of your intention. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay, so one last point on responsibility, presence. So once again, remember, we have the infinite field of techno music. We got all the different vibrations and frequencies in here. And you are a human person, remember? And you are responding to the field. Here is you as human. This is me. Yeah? And there's the field. Now, responsibility, like I said, puts you above this level of integrity, right? You're above this line. You start to move into the fields of power. We want to take responsibility in all areas so that we can release the connection. So the lower fields, the fields of force, it's like we have little connection. And for example, in my own experience, the subtle betrayals had connected in at my lower center here like this. And I was subtly blaming and complaining and having resent to certain situations and people and events. By sensing and being present of that, it allowed me to disconnect myself from that field to a greater degree. So I'm responsible, yay! I took a responsibility for this, which then allowed me to dissolve this and be free of that frequency. Which then reflected in those people just dropping out of my life. Now, another simple way to just look at this, another way to kind of frame it is you do not tolerate that within you. You do not tolerate that frequency in you, and you use that awareness through presence, that sensing, to say, okay, I do not tolerate this. You use it as a trigger to be conscious of it, to take ownership for it, and then to release it, which leads into the next part of our workshop. But before we go into that, let's go to our breakout rooms, share observations quickly, what you notice, what you observe, just so we can deepen our experience, and then we'll come back for the next piece. All righty. Okay. Welcome, Dante, the president of Washington. Dante. We love you, Dante. All right, let me just recreate the rooms. Move to room 5. Move to room 2.
Yeah.
Do that. Oh, yeah, is that Dante? You whispering in our ear? You
Oh,
naughty.
sorry.
That's all right. Naughty boy.
Yeah,
I like it. That's kind of kinky.
I guess.
All right. Did I open the rooms? Are they open? I think they are. Yep. Join your rooms, guys. Share your observations, and we'll come back.
Yeah, I'm thinking my food. Go inside.
Fuck. I don't know when that died though. I suppose this charger must have fallen off, or I forgot to put it on. It might have died like ages ago.
He's disappeared.
Houdini, where'd you go?
He will return
I want
with
some of
his
what was he
son.
said? He says, I don't give a fuck stickers. I want some of those I don't give a fuck stickers he was talking about.
Yes, they're very rare, those I don't give a fuck stickers.
Oh, I want one of
Those one tail branded.
They- Sorry.
Are they one tail branded?
Yes, one towel. I don't give a fuck stickers.
Yeah, there you go. I
You
give
should
this
have
many
that on
internal
the back of your shirt.
I don't give a fuck stickers. Well, are they just stickers that say I don't give a fuck, or are they I
I
don't
don't
give a
know.
fuck
Said it.
stickers? Either way.
I'd like one. I don't give this many internal fucks.
Ah, yes. The secret to internal power. Not giving internal fucks. Alrighty, let's move on to our next piece. So we've looked at the map of consciousness itself. We've talked about intention, the intention being the direction. We've talked about the foundation as presence. And now we want to go into surrender, which is really the mechanism for moving to intention. So you can kind of think of it like, okay, so you've got a destination here. So X marks the spot, right? We want to get here. But in order to get there, we must be, or I mean, look, you could not be present, but you might trip over, so to speak. So we're here at our baseline, yeah? We're present. We are present, yeah? P for present. We have our destination, our intention, and now the kind of method of getting there is surrender. Surrender. AKA letting go. So release. Because you think of it like this, you're wanting to get to a destination, but there are things that are pulling you backwards or weighing you down. And you want to, take off the bands that are trying to pull you back and release the weights that hold you down from it. Meaning, internally, the spirit is already at a high level. Naturally, there is a lovingness, there is a peacefulness, there is a joy within us, but the focus on the clouds, the intention that is not aligned with spirit, which is more aligned with force, pulls us away from our internal power, from the power within us. Surrender becomes the mechanism. Now, my deepest experience on this, because you can even think of how I applied responsibility in relationship to surrender, but let's go into something deeper with that. So a few of you guys know already that, yes, I had a deep sense of betrayal, blah, blah, with my dad. I came back to Australia, and when I came back to Australia with my wife at the time and my two kids, my father died. I got divorced and I broke my ankle all in the same month. So I went into, it was a very difficult emotional time. And with all the tools I'd learned from internal Kung Fu and from spiritual work, God had given me an opportunity to consciously apply the surrender technique. Because I was seeing every, grief, anger, resentment, blame, all of the negative fields that I was connected to. So all of the ones that I had linked to, because that's what this is. It's us linking to the fields of consciousness via our thought forms and our emotion forms. So we're, connected to it like a two-headed snake almost, a snake here and a snake there to fear or anger, and it's like you're feeding from the field. Anyway, so dad dies, get divorced, break my ankle, and you can imagine this wasn't the funnest time of my life. But as they say, when you have these down times, you have a spiritual blessing, because you now get a chance to be present and aware to that which needs to be released. So I decided, yes, I'm going to lie here until I release this. So I just lay down and just went into a state of surrender, applied the surrender technique to release those frequencies from within me. the betrayal, the anger, the fear, the doubt. It wasn't to say that I fully released it all, but I released a gigantic block because after coming out of that room, after about, there was like 10 to 12 hours of just surrender, I was a new person. I felt extremely light, kind of, there are about 5 experiences where I felt strong sense of oneness, and that was one of them. There was the walking one I told you about earlier, where I just felt, and there was no emotional kind of thing that kicked that off. That was just a meditative practice. But this was kind of inspired, that the internal work was inspired by the pain that I was experiencing. I came out of it light as fuck. I was just like floating. I felt magical, so to speak. And literally within a few weeks, I started One Tao, which we are all now a part of. I started it physically. I started teaching in a park, and then at a gym, and then opened academy, opened my space. So yeah, you get the idea. And online now, and now it's a clothing. So, I've been very blessed to have the experience. Now, coming back to the point, surrender. In order to move, because one part's intent, right? One part's, okay, I center in my intent and I know where I'm going. The other part's responsibility. I'm responsible for myself as I am in all ways. But surrender is the mechanism that allows you to continue to transcend up into the higher fields. So the analogy or the image that, a lot of you have heard me use before is like a rocket, right? We can use this as the rocket. There you go. It looks more like a house, doesn't it? We need a bigger one. There we go. Maybe it's double-story house now. But we have the baseline of presence. This is fire. Yeah? Fire. The fire of surrender. Baseline presence. Surrender is like the releasing and the fire that goes out of the system, out of your system, as you move to your intention. I could definitely do a better rocket than that. Hopefully these workshops make my drawing skills better. What do you reckon? Alrighty. So we have this. This might be a better rocket. Yeah? No, that just looks like a dildo. Fucking hell. Melissa's here. Do you want to come say hello, Melissa? Hi.
Hi, everyone.
This is Melissa, my
Nice to
lovely
see you.
wife. See, this is the reward. When you learn to take responsibility and surrender, you get rewarded with a beautiful wife who loves you.
Oh, thank you.
I can't promise that. That's not guaranteed, but I was lucky enough to. 1 second.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
She needed a charger. Anyway, so okay, whatever. It's a rocket, all right? Get out. There we go. That makes it. Yes. No, it still looks like. Yeah. Let's forget that image and pretend it's a rocket. Can't get it out of your head now, can you, you dirty bastards? Anyway, so intention, you're present in the rocket, and then surrender is the fuel. It's the drive. It's the release. It's the revealing power which shows you and attunes you and gives you access to that which is already within you. So actually, I'm not really teaching you anything. I'm just pointing you in a direction within yourself. Presence, because as you are present, you have access to intention and surrender. You can't sense it and be with it if you're subconscious, if you're too far in the future or too far in the past and you're not here, right? And being present gives you that access to surrender, but presence is through sensing, right? So the surrender mechanism, what I've found, it's an actual process, right? Let's get rid of Michael's favorite picture. Your favorite, Michael, right? All right. So in order to continue to move upward, in order to continue to transcend the levels and move upward, we must use surrender, which is a letting go of the blocks. Now, we couple this, the most powerful approach I've found to true letting go and surrender, which actually speeds up the process, is the frequency of appreciation. Appreciation or gratitude. Let's say gratitude to start. Gratitude, and it's pretty much the same, maybe slightly different because it's a bit less grindy, is appreciation. Now, why is this important? Gratitude and appreciation calibrate around 500, 540, which is love, right? And with most people I've met, and including myself, find it easier to step into a feeling of thankfulness, appreciation, love, than we do, for example, enlightenment or peace, which may seem a bit, or even joy. Because you can say thank you and be grateful simply by, thinking of things in your life you appreciate. Maybe your bed, food, oxygen, kids, wife, t-shirt, my wonderful hairstyle, whatever it might be. It seems to be easier for people to enter into an upward frequency to facilitate surrender. Now, why is that important? Because if we feel a lower frequency, let's say we're feeling, I don't like this feeling. We're feeling this lower frequency within ourselves, then often the natural or unnatural approach is to repress, suppress, or ignore. Like, we don't want to feel it. I don't want to feel negative, right? We don't like it. So naturally, the mind runs from that pain rather than surrendering the pain. And if you run from it, you'll just keep it stored in the bank of your subconscious, which is what I was doing with the betrayal, right? And keeping people around me that were just fuckwits. Anyway, they're not here anymore. Yes, big win for me. Now, so what does that mean? If we can approach the lower fields, the negativities, or the demonic negative elementals, the negative feelings within ourselves, from a state of gratitude or appreciation. And appreciation is a good word because it talks about, increase, right? We appreciate. You can start to actually observe this. Observe. I'm looking at you. Now, what does that look like? Fucking hell. Michael Harris, calm down. Observe that frequency within yourself so that you can surrender it. So gratitude seems to be the unlock to surrender that I found personally, but it takes training, meaning the ability to observe negativities, negative feelings, negative emotions within oneself from a state of gratitude speeds up the process. Another example, I was training with a guy and he just had some tension in his system that he couldn't let go of. And it clicked for him one day that he was observing the tension in his system from a state of frustration. So whenever he noticed tension in his body, when he would do chi sao or sparring, like as martial artists, he'd get frustrated with himself. And it just had been compounding for years, right? He'd been training for 3 years, and I'd highlighted, okay, we need to observe through gratitude. But people, you'll hear what I'm saying, but then only until you actually experience it will you get it, right? And finally, he observed, he realized, and he was going, like, we're frustrating you, you're frustrated. He was doing that, right? He went, and when he did that, he realized in that moment, I'm not observing this with gratitude. And when he stepped into observing the tension with gratitude, it just melted out of his body. And he pretty much instantly from that point, he started to throw around people that were throwing him around, like literally the day before, because he was able to dissolve the tension in his system by a shift in paradigms from frustration, which is like anger level, up to a sense of gratitude, which is love, which is, the comparison is, anger is at 150 and love is at 500. And this is a logarithmic scale. So it's to the power of. So it's a tremendous amount of power compared to anger, for example. So the simplest mechanism I wanted to give to you guys today for surrender is to remember that appreciation, gratitude, thankfulness is the gateway to be able to release. there are other parts to the surrender mechanism, meaning, okay, to be aware of it through sensing, to have a sense of devotion to a greater field of consciousness, God, spirit, whatever your mind leads you into the higher fields. But the practical thing you can apply moment to moment is appreciation and gratitude. That automatically lifts you up to 500, gives you a level of observation, so you can naturally surrender the blocks practically moment to moment in daily life. So as you're walking about your life, a negative emotion comes up, triggered by whatever, whether it's internal or external, you can be like, I'm grateful for this opportunity. I'm grateful for this opportunity. I'm grateful for this opportunity to surrender these blocks, right? Our potential, our spirit and our potential as we are, all of us have a unique potential to us, wants to manifest, wants to grow, and is limited via all of the connections to the lower fields and the negative blockages that we have. Subconscious programs, fears, doubts, blame, limited thought patterns, positionalities where we're stuck in one way of thinking. All of these lower frequencies hold that potential back like a coating, like a shell around that potential. We're looking to allow that potential, which is linked to spirit, to love, to enlightenment, to joy, to spread throughout the whole of ourselves, like a small piece of leaven that goes through the whole bread, like a yolk that gets cracked and expands into the whole egg. Right? So approaching surrender through gratitude is the gateway and key here now. So let's have an exercise. I know we spoke about an area which we might not be taking responsibility for, and that might be linked to what you want to do now, but maybe it's not, maybe it's something else. Pick an emotion, a frequency. So now we're getting less specific to a life circumstance and more directed at an emotional frequency. So anger, fear, doubt, blame, complaint, resentment, whatever. And you may not be able to even label it. It may just be a sense you have, like a subtle, not good feelingness within you. Bring your focus to that now, just so we can be aware of it. And we're going to apply some healing balm of gratitude and surrender so that we can start to release that. So take 22 seconds to bring to your mind some emotion or frequency which you notice that comes up for you. One Mississippi, and start to just kind of bring it into your awareness. And don't worry, you're going to be able to release it. Sensing it there, being responsible for it is a kind of a direction and a baseline to be able to release. In Mississippi. $25 Mississippi. Alrighty, so get yourselves comfortable and we're going to do a surrender exercise. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, where does this link into state? Well, sinking is the energetic expression of surrender, so the movement of energy. And that, you can think about that quite logically. For those of you who study the researchers of truth teachings, I know Daniel does. It's sinking is the movement or the kinetic energy, the movement of energy. And you can think of it like moving negative thought forms away from you and transforming their shape. You're transforming. There's another different lesson we'll go into later. But for now, let's just close down our eyes, take some deep breaths. Calm down the mind. Relax the body. Once again, be present. Presence through sensing. Sense the heart, the belly, the head. Sense the arms and the legs. Sense yourself present in space. Aware here. Now, as you sense yourself here present in space, bring to your mind some emotion, energy, some frequency which you're looking to release, surrender, some blockage within you. And you'll observe this will have a sense of resistance or tension or a upset frequency within the system. With no fear, just observe. Presently sensing where it is, how it is. And as you observe now, bring a sense of gratitude. I am grateful for the opportunity to surrender this. I am grateful for the opportunity to surrender. I am grateful for the opportunity to let this go. Allow these loving eyes of observation to penetrate this disturbance or upset frequency in our system. Sense your space, present aware, grateful observation, appreciation for the opportunity to gratefully surrender. Like gas flowing out of a can, like ice melting to water, to steam. Releasing all the blocks as you now bring yourself back into your intention, like a state of devotion to the spirit. Feel once again the elevated emotion linked to a sense of grateful surrender. Take some calm, peaceful breaths. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Very good. So you can start to see how all of this links together. You have your intention, the spiritual intent, the direction. You have the surrender mechanism of release. You have presence, responsibility, and integrity as the foundation. So I am responsible for. And these all come together to elevate your consciousness so you can manifest internal power. So that when you ask your body to release, it releases. When you wish for something in your life, it manifests quicker because you're not blocking it with your own lower frequencies or programs. Now, you can see, you actually live within this. There you are. So your intention, moving up through, you surrender through. It's like, you think about like your head center, right? We've got the head center, the heart center, the physical center. It's like your intention is set, you surrender all blocks, because they tend to be emotional blocks, and the body is grounded in a sense of presence and responsibility. ISP. Some of you guys have seen this image already. So it's like this: intention, surrender, responsibility. It's a good framework to really enter into the state. And once again, maximize and level up your internal power. And you stay in that state of intention, presence, and surrender as you practice your forms, as you practice your Chi Sao, as you go about your life. It's not about I do this when I do my kung fu or martial arts. It's about I am this, I become this. It's a way of being. It's the I am Silim Tao of my kung fu master. Kung Fu Master! Anyway, that is surrender. Let's go into our breakout rooms, once again, share observations, and then we'll come back for questions and discussion. Rock and roll. Let's do this. Alrighty. In 10 Mississippis, everyone will be back. Alrighty. So, in summary, the map of consciousness explains our growth, our development, and think of it like an infinite field of radio stations that you tune to. You are an expression of consciousness. You want to use, whatever brings you to that. The spirit is the highest, right? You can call it God, you can call it spirit. Whether you use Christ as a Christian or Buddha as a Buddhist or whatever it might be, or whether you just use, love, whatever it is, links you to that field and allows it to express it through you. Like St. John the Baptist would say, I must decrease and he must increase, right? Meaning that love and spiritual awareness must increase and I, the personal egoism, must decrease. There's a really cool picture of St. John the Baptist where he's pointing up and down. It's like one part must increase, our love, our consciousness, other part must decrease, our hate, our fear, you get it? So the map. Next part is intent. Via your intent, you set the direction. You set the upward direction of your field. You can be like me when I was younger and choose to become a demonic criminal, or you can be like, Mother Teresa and, aim to help others or whatever it might be. It's up to you. And that's linked to a field of power. Presence. To be present is like your feet. It's like your foundation. This is the line of integrity. This is where you kind of don't want to be going below, generally speaking. Courage, presence, so to be present and take responsibility for how you are. Further, surrender. The mechanism of of moving upward is release. You're letting go. It's like you're underwater and you have all these ropes tied around your waist and they all have weights on them. And you want to cut those ropes to let yourself be more buoyant and float up to the surface where you'll get pure oxygen and sunlight. Yeah. So this is the mechanism, intention, surrender, presence, responsibility, gratitude, freedom. You want to, this is the state. This is entering into the state of power. You stay in that, subtle side note, centered in intention, sensing with presence and responsibility, syncing with gratitude. So they're all tied in. We will be doing further lessons on the etheric body and how that links in, but, don't want to give too much to make your brain explode. So there are 3 key details that you can start to apply. You can, as you're walking through daily life, when you sense your center, intention. As you're walking through daily life, you sense your feet on the floor. Okay, I am responsible. When you're walking through daily life and you get an emotional frequency, I am gratefully surrendering. So you can use life as triggers. Your spine, your feet, and emotion, right? Good. Okie dokie. Q&A time, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any questions or discussion points, please bring them up.
Yeah, well, a little might not be ready. I don't know if the right word is ready for it because it is what it is. It's going to happen, as we progress through entering the state, there's observations. But, I was talking in the breakout room about when I first got here and I was doing meditation, had a lot of really bizarrely cool experiences. One of which was when I walked into a room, I did have that expansion, but I didn't know I had that expansion. And what made me aware of the expansion was people recognizing me, and my expansion when I walked into the room. You know what I mean? So, and I've had similar things like that happen before, but what I love about the drill down here now is that, it gets to a point where taking responsibility and being comfortable in that expansion, as opposed to distracted by observing people, notice that you're in that state. And, and this way you're walking in conscious of that state of expansion. So just interesting how things are kind of
Yeah.
staggered for me on occasion.
Yeah,
But
for
come
sure.
together.
100% different. You know, it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. Like, yeah, I've been practicing now for like 2.5 decades, and it's still there's still such depth to the state. It's such a wonderful place of exploration, and really, you are the study, like yourself. It's like we study oneself, and yes, there is an expansion, and you bring up responsibility. That's actually it's so key. And I mean, you've probably all heard this before. Response ability, the ability to respond, right? Which is essentially what you take when you take responsibility rather than reacting to things and blaming. You decide how you respond, right? So very good. What else we got, team?
During one of the meditation, I don't know which one, I had I don't know, epiphany, clear moment, and I stopped and I started writing it down about, taking responsibility and how it's my own fault. And I kind of went through the step of, I'll just say what it is. It was just overspending. Why am I overspending? Entitlement. Why am I feeling entitled? Well, I must be missing something. Why am I missing something? Because I'm not accepting opportunities to go at the movies or do this or do that. So I'm missing connection, which makes me feel like, oh, I have an entitlement to something. It was that's taking responsibility. Why you
Beautiful.
have it. I wrote it down.
No, that's beautiful. No, that's perfect because that's what will happen when you take responsibility for something, right? You go to the line of integrity and your awareness shifts. So you start to look at the situation differently. And then you can say, how does this work from the map of consciousness? What are the mechanics on this? And that's a really great observation you brought up because essentially it's like this. You let's just say it's something happening subconsciously, right? So, here we are once again, wonderful human, and something's happening from the subconscious level, right? So we're not really aware of it. But once we take responsibility, it puts us up here. So the from the field, different thoughts and emotions come from different levels. You follow me on that? So if you take responsibility and shift into a different radio station, the music changes. The thoughts change because you're now looking at it from a different perspective. Generally speaking, a more purified, a more like you can literally think of it like a building, right? I've used this analogy before. There are 1,000 floors on the building. At floor 1, all you see is the other buildings, concrete. But then you go up to floor, 250, and all of a sudden you have a much wider view. So your perspective shifts. So yeah, awesome, Mandy. That's great. It's fascinating, how via intention, responsibility, and surrender, we can transform ourselves.
If I hadn't spent the money, I could have done art during the class. This was my inspiration for your from your whole thing.
Holy moly, that's amazing. Did you just draw that?
I did that one, and I did this one, which is dropping the negative intention. I don't know if you can see it because it's
wow. Can you please post that? That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, nice work.
That's
Very
we're
nice.
supposed to look.
compare that to my drawings.
Very
I need Mandy here to draw for me when I have.
Oh, I don't know. I like the dildo. That was entertaining.
Yeah, the dildo rocket.
It wouldn't be you without the dildo.
The secret to internal power, the dildo rocket.
Hey, Mandy, can you do like the Chinese calligraphy? I can imagine you doing it. I want to see those classes.
So I can only do what happens. I had no control over this. I literally was trying to do something totally different.
Love it.
And
very nice.
Great levels of frustration.
Yeah. Awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's in your hand. It's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, the dropping of the negative energy, which is the red. I don't know if you can see it. Try and get.
Yes, that's it.
And then there's the blue, but the purple is that peaceful on the upper, on your chart thing there.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. The purple's that inner intention on your chart there of energies and dropping out the red, which is what we're trying to drop. Those red wave things.
Can we see the other one? Can we see the other one again? Is that okay?
Let me turn the light off and see if you can get a better view. Oh, shit, that's too dark.
No, it's better with the light.
That's not gonna work.
Yeah.
All right, so drop being in the purple states, whatever those are on the topic frequency, and then again was surrounded by the purple states and sending out the red.
That's so good. Woo. Love it.
Ooh.
Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing.
But it couldn't have happened without what you were talking about, because
How we did it.
that led to the colors that I was using.
Awesome. Thank you. Alrighty. What else we got, team? Thanks, Mandy. Any other observations,
wasn't
discussion
sure.
points, or questions?
I'll go. I said now I've noticed, I know I've been like away for like a while, but I've noticed when kind of like when I be like either at work or when I be like working out or something like that, like I'll get into this like state or mode to where my mind will be like empty. So it'll be empty. I'll be like focused on one thing, and then the next thing you know, if someone comes to talk to me or something like that, it all goes away. So I feel like I've been practicing on how to turn it on, turn it off. I don't know if that's like something related to being in the state or something like that, or I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
that's a
wanted
good observation. So I can speak to speak to that in a couple of ways. I was at my master's, and I think it was about 2.5, 3 years in, and I was practicing my Kung Fu master's house, practicing my form. I was on one leg, I remember actually, and it was pointing at me, talking in Cantonese. Oh, the neho mama. Anyway, and what he was saying was because I was training like this, but I'd be training, and then I'd talk to a mate because the mate was talking to me. It was Seb, I remember. Anyway, form chat. And he was saying how he can do it, but when he talks, he's not doing it. So I was in the state and the state was off, on, off, on, off, on, off. Just like you said, I'm feeling a sense of stillness and presence, and then someone talks to me and I forget about it. Yes, it's usually easier when you don't have much external input at first, but over time it just becomes your way of being. So that's quite natural. And stillness is a very good indicator. It's like it's like the through line. You've got intention, surrender, and presence, and the through line is like stillness. It's like being centered almost. So yeah, good observation. Just continue practicing, and the depth of connection to the state with that sense of stillness will become even greater. So you'll be even present whilst you are active in life.
Yeah, because I was saying, yeah, that makes sense. Because I know when I either be like somewhere just standing for just a little bit, like it would turn on. Like there's like I'll be present. There's no thought. It just focus like forward, and it's just to me it's just amazing like how I can turn it on, turn it off, but then it'll turn off as soon as like someone that I know comes to talk to me or a coworker. I'm like, dang, I was like, wow. So I gotta keep trying that more often. Or maybe that's just something that's related to the state, and it's to me it's amazing though that how I can feel that and turn it on. So
Yeah, and that's actually very interesting because you can think about like you as a person and how you've trained. You train online with us, and you haven't actually got a training partner. So on your own, when you're still, when you're by yourself, you can really be in state. Now, the physical reflection would be if you had a group, which eventually you'll have some training partners when the wish comes and the intention for it's there. When you spar and do like sticking hands and contact work, here's where you really start to convert the state into open eyes movement and pressure. So it's a really good training tool. So, whether you start using, because you're on your own, a heavy bag, a wall bag, or a dummy, that's a good way to like do strikes, blocks, kicks, elbows as a way to maintain state under physical excitement, pressure, and movement. Like, because you're on your own, that's one way with tools. But when you have a training partner, that amplifies your ability to stay in state under pressure. That's what the Chi Sao training tool is for, to maintain state under dynamic pressure. So yeah, bro, I think it's yeah, you're doing great. The most important thing is to be able to do it on one's own in oneself. If you can't do it there's nowhere to take it anyway.
okay.
The good stuff, Mr. President. All righty, what else we got, team? What are the Q's, O's, or D's? Questions, observations, or discussion points? Thoughts?
I can definitely say I was feeling kind of flat before this because I just got up from taking a nice long nap and all that. And I feel like today at work is going to breeze by. I got to be there in about 10 minutes.
Nice. Good man. Yes, it's the whole idea, like the very specialty of this training, which I observed in my Kung Fu and my spiritual teachers, is the state. They were masters of their state. That was the key, because the state leads to everything. How you are, meaning your alignment with the field of consciousness, hence your state, is how you interact in life, right? So you being in this, you're feeling it, you're feeling buzzy, you're feeling good, you're going to bring that into your life. Now, the game is that as shit happens, as it does, those are opportunities to release blockages and maintain state. Like you choose to stay in state regardless of angry customer, for example. So nice one, Harris Farms. If anyone doesn't know, Harris Farms is Harris Farms because in Australia, Harris Farms is an organic, healthy grocer, and in America, Harris Farms is an abattoir. So we have the complexity and different directions of life through Harris Farms. Michael Harris Farms.
Well, thank you, Sifu, but I got to bail. Get on to work. I appreciate
Thanks,
you,
brother.
your time,
Appreciate you too,
teaching
bro.
us
Thanks for
today.
coming. Good man. What else we got, folks?
I noticed something today at 1 o'clock when I did. I know you talk about doing standing meditation for advancing my martial arts form, and I haven't really been doing that. I've been sitting down, only because my lower back's broken. I got a plate in my neck and some other BS. But when I stood up today, I definitely had newer experiences in my meditation. Infusion was better. I was floating. I mean, in space in my mind because I was able to disconnect the physical and infuse it with my state. And it was freaking awesome. So thank you for that.
Awesome. Good. Yeah, you definitely want to be, going from lying down to seated to standing to moving to walking to pressure from other people. Like that's the unique and cool thing about internal Kung Fu is that you practice the meditative condition in different environments, so it becomes contemplative. So it becomes that way of being. Awesome, Mr. Hogan. Yeah. Whilst you guys, have a think or chew on, what questions you may have, moving forward, we'll be looking at this topic, consciousness and the map of consciousness, and it's, how we navigate and understand it throughout this whole month. So February, right? End of February, we'll do another topic, and that'll be our topic for the group so that we can, because look, state is the key, and that's why I've focused in on that, because I want you all to master, to varying degrees, of course, the state, so you can just live more powerfully, live more peacefully, but also manifest the internal power that my master had, that we have within us, because that's the very unique thing of our system. And we want to make sure this continues on through the generations of both Wing Chun, but also just of life, having a good life. Why not? All righty. Do we have any other questions, discussion points?
I only wish I knew all this before I raised my children.
Yeah, I feel you.
Amen.
It definitely helps. Yeah.
Have you ever have you experienced the yellow part on the map of consciousness? I was curious about it.
You don't have to pay too much attention to the colors, but the yellow part is the line of integrity. So that's the pride and courage, and we all have, all of us have felt all of these, all of this, all of us are all of these. It's a matter of alignment, right? So have I experienced courage and pride? 100%. We all have, the thing is that that's the subtle line of integrity. You know, pride leads into a sense because when you have a sense of I am proud, it's like, you know, it has a leaning towards egoism, but at least you're taking ownership of something, which can move you into courage, can move you
Right.
up to look at things from a state of responsibility and integrity. So yes, you know, I have experienced it, and you guys have for sure as well. Now, if we look at the actual process, right? The emotion is scorn in pride, and the process is inflation, meaning the way you process through that emotion. Now, in courage, the emotion is affirmation, like a positivity almost, and empowerment is the process. You feel empowered. So you can see how you have a sense of inflation, okay, inflated sense of self. They call it a big head, right? And then you move into a state of empowerment where, you know, I am, let's say, feeling courageous. I'm feeling ready to continue my own journey, let's say. So, yeah, I mean, if you
Right.
guys haven't, you know, got one of these printed up in your house somewhere, I suggest you do. Put it in your desk, put it on your fridge. You can just find it on Google, just type map of consciousness and a ton of them come up. Just because it really gives you a powerful way to navigate yourself. Like, you know, oh, what process am I going through here? Oh, transcendence. Okay, cool. You know, and then you can really start to learn more about yourself through it.
That's
What
awesome.
towards that yellow part, Dante? You just like the color, or what was it?
I think I was more curious because I wasn't sure if I never like felt it. Like I wasn't sure. Well, you said like we all felt it before, but I'm not sure if I ever kind of knew, you know, because I was
Yeah,
curious
I
about it.
understand. Yeah, for sure. I
Because
get you.
yeah, because I know I experienced the red part before when we was doing state training because I experienced it with Noah at one point, and then I experienced the purple part, blue
Mm,
part, but I
sure.
never thought
Yeah.
like experienced
I
yellow because I
think,
wasn't really
yeah, this
sure.
brings up one thing which should be, it's important to clarify. These colors aren't necessarily linked to those states. This is just a teaching tool, you know? It's so I mean, red isn't necessarily a shame or a guilt feeling energy. Red is fire, it's power, like it's actually a positive force. It can be linked to anger as well, you know, but what I'm getting at is that this is a teaching tool. I wouldn't take the colors as linked to those emotions, just to be conscious of that.
Okay, okay, yeah, I just make it. Yeah, that's pretty cool
Because
because
actually,
I like this.
sorry,
Oh,
go.
go ahead. No, because I think I was like more because I think it was like, is it? I don't think it was like a bad thing because sometimes when I think of anger, I think it's like, okay, like I always ask myself, like, okay, what is it? Like, what is going on? Like, what's the source of it? And then I get to the bottom of it, like, okay, then there's like comes like an understanding of like why am I frustrated? What is it that's causing it? Like, okay, so we also because once I get to the bottom of it and understand it, it kind of like it starts to go away on its own because once I understand what like the problem is, so yeah,
Good.
because
Yes,
Noah
you know,
told me, right, let it go.
yes. You know, it's actually a good way to, you know, grateful observation is a good way to just perceive things in general because technically speaking, you know, even though we use, you know, negative, shit, sad, positive, love, happy, even though we use those as kind of teaching tools and a way to understand things, they're actually all a part of growth. Meaning, you know, if you are in a state of apathy or guilt, moving up to fear and anger is a positive thing. So it's kind of relative to the level as opposed to bad. So, for example, a child is playing in with their toys, and their mum and dad get uh, and then being laughing and enjoying themselves, and the mum and dad tell them stop being so noisy, and then they start to think to themselves, oh, being joyful isn't a good thing, and then so the kid dumbs himself down and starts to be a bit afraid of their demands. Then the kid doesn't like feeling afraid because they want to play, so they start to get angry, right? And then as the kid gets, so he's gone from like a fear of the parent up to an anger, right? Because he wants to have fun and play. But then the parent says, hey, stop being angry because they don't like the unpleasantness of the kid being angry. So the parent conditions them to think anger is bad, and they go back down to fear. So I've met several people that get kind of go up to anger, but once they get to anger, they go back down to shame because they've been conditioned to believe that anger is bad, as opposed to gratefully surrendering the anger, moving up to pride and ownership and into courage. So, why am I saying that? Because none of them are inherently bad. They're just growth. So you look at a tree and the tree's just started to sprout from the ground and it's just a baby sapling, right? You don't go, fuck you, you shit tree. You're not an oak yet. You're not a giant tree. You don't get upset with it. It's just a baby tree, right? So you think of it in the same way. Humans are born with a certain level of consciousness and they need to, let's say, evolve and grow through those levels. So none of them are inherently bad. It's just you understand that one has a less power within it. Via intention, we can start to grow and expand ourselves within consciousness. Responsibility and surrender facilitate that process. Good.
Okay. Yeah.
Simply put,
That's really
grateful observation, is a very easy and powerful way to look at all experiences. Yeah.
right.
Do we have
That is
any other questions, discussion points, or observations before we finish off today's workshop to kick off February?
Sometimes with the emotions and color, whatever your personal favorite color is, you attach that to the good feelings, and what your colors you really hate, attach those to the negative feelings. So you can start. Sometimes you'll think in colors quicker than you'll think in recognizing what internally you're feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Yes, especially from the understanding of thought forms, meaning the thought form is present before you actually communicate it, even if it's quick and subconscious. Every action comes from a certain frequency of thought form. So you've got the fields, you've got the thought forms, and then you've got your physical actions. It's like spirit, mind, emotion, energy, body, expression. Yeah, so that makes sense.
It's also that part, as a child, we experience a whole lot of emotions, and a whole lot of emotions are put upon us from other people, and we don't have the words or the capacity to explain it. So sometimes if we can associate emotions with colors for your own personal color palette, you can recognize what you're feeling and express it, and it's in your head without having to deal with words.
Yes.
That makes
Yeah, it's yeah, and what I've observed is that people tend to have deeper connections to that part of themselves than others. Like, they people who are very in tune with that, they'll call, a clairvoyant who's able to see colors and images. And generally speaking, women are better than that than men. They tend to be more clairvoyant, so to speak. Very good. Arun, did you have something, sir?
I guess two things. The first one is thanks for being so honest. It's nice to hear that from a Sifu because I didn't know some of those stories from you. So thank you. One thing I'll say is from my personal experience is when I've been meditating, I've kind of learned to I think I was sharing it with Daniel. I was saying that when I meditate, I'll do like a 15-minute meditation where the first 10 minutes is just doing the observation, but not showing gratitude, just seeing what my emotional state is or what the thoughts are that are coming in and just acknowledging them because the brain is complex. By introducing too much, it can be complicated for some brains. So I do that. And when it's calmed down, then that's when the great stuff comes because you're then at a calm state where you can either employ it in your Wing Chun or your work life. And I must have done thousands of hours on it. And now I'm in a situation where if I feel something's happening, I can just bring that state on and you use it in the Wing Chun. So like the example you gave earlier, when that person was almost had a design tick because of the frustration, I'm able to kind of just like take that out and go back to the state that I've learned from different phases of my Wing Chun. So when you know your chi sao is flowing, if that makes sense. But I only kind of got to that by doing lots of hours of it. Sometimes when you're in a class and you only got like an hour with people, it's not always it doesn't always, you don't get the benefits. But if you can do like a 5 or 6 hour stint, that's when you get some of these great benefits. So hopefully I get to do that one day with you. So hopefully you
Yes.
come to Europe. So
Yeah.
that was my bit,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah. No, awesome, brother. Yes, absolutely. Having that regular practice that you do, those thousands of hours of observation are going to deepen that pathway. So you're going to be able to enter into your state, the state, much easier. And further, yes, immersion is so fantastic. That's why even these workshops are good. So you're thinking about it, you're entering into it for a couple of hours. But yeah, when we do 5, 6 hours, 12 hours over 1, 3, 5, 10 days, that's where you really get huge shifts, you know. That's why I moved to Hong Kong. That's why I moved to Cyprus, to immerse myself into the teachings and really transform. You know, that's I just what I like to do. That's why I want to move to America. I want to immerse myself in some other meditation, martial arts, but also some business friends over there as well. So 100%, brother. And yes, Europe is on the cards. Mel's pregnant. I don't know if you guys knew that. And she's due in June. So we'll be having,
Congratulations.
thank you, the number 5. So yeah, we've just got to plan around that, whether we'll be doing USA and Europe this year for workshops and seminars to train. Very good. Alrighty. Anything else, team, before we finish up for today? So wonderful to see you all. It's been a pleasure as usual. You know, I'll be putting the link to this into the community somewhere, a post, and yeah, we can jump on there and share our experiences and help each other grow and deepen our states. It'll be much appreciated. Thank you very much, team. Pleasure as always. Peace.